everyone. It is just between Christmas and New Year's, and I really wanted to make my favorite things part 2, maybe 3, 4, 5 video. So I've smashed them all into one, and I am going to tell you about my favorite things I do not like to live without, everything outdoors edition. So there's only one more that I'm going to share with you probably in the next couple of weeks. My favorite things, the hobby edition. But everything I'm going to talk to you about today is about tools, equipment, and gear. Thank you for all of this hair. Tulip is shedding to beat the band. She's blowing her coat big time. I'm going to share about tools, some of the major, mostly small tools that I use very regularly to work outside. And it's winter, so I'm going to focus on winter. Summer is a little bit, you know, more straightforward, and most of these tools are double duty. So I'm going to talk gardening, hunting, like outdoor activities and outdoor pursuits, and kind of the things that I use all of the time. Okay, so let's start with clothes, because that is critical. What you wear is critical to enjoying yourself outdoors all times of the year. And as I'm saying that, I'm remembering that I forgot my raincoat, so I'll go in and grab that. It was featured on a previous video though. Okay, so let's talk summer. Summer is actually the time of year, spring and summer, or the non-snow times of year, where we spend the majority of our time outside. And I'm sorry, I'm squinting. Maybe I'll put down my shades here. Squinting because the sun is right in my face. And so in the summer, I am a ginger, and so I am sensitive to sun, but I hate sunscreen. Ooh, full disclosure, I know that's bad to say, and I don't wear it very often at all. So what I like to do is to work outside before the sun is really high without any kind of protection. But as soon as the sun, I can start to feel the sun on my skin, which doesn't take long at all. I will put on a long sleeve cotton work shirt. It's actually a dress shirt that used to be my dad's, that covers everything, and I put the collar right up, sleeves right down, and I do it up. And then I love to wear old Royal Robbins cotton shorts, very comfortable and loose fitting. And my preferred footwear I've actually had for about 15 or 18 years now. Let me go get them. You probably all know what they are. Okay. My favorite footwear in the summertime, bar none, other than bare feet, which I really love, especially in the garden, are my garden Crocs. These are at least 15, if not maybe 20 years old. They are so old. My mom got them for me, and I absolutely love these. I won't retire them until there are holes in the bottom, and we are getting there. There's not a lot of protection between my feet and the earth, but I just love it because it is like walking around in bare feet. So I love these in the summer. I also have a pair of Mephisto sandals that I really love. But really that's it in the summer. And then I have a really nice sun hat, a wide brimmed hat, and I love ball caps. So protection from the sun is critical, including your eyes. So I brought out my sunglasses. Any old variety will do. Mine, I prefer polarized, so I always get polarized glasses. These happen to be, what are these? I can't remember the brand. But anyways, I really like them. They're polarized, and I might just put them on here just because it is so sunny out here today. Okay, so that is about it for the summer. Let's talk winter, because this is where it gets critical to make sure that you are well protected and that you can enjoy your outdoor time. The dogs are having a little romp around here, so they're having a good time. It's so beautiful. It's warm out today. It might be 2 degrees out here. All of this beautiful snow is starting to melt, which sucks. Okay, so in the winter time, I layer, and my preferred fabric is wool. I absolutely love wool. So today I am wearing Smart Wool. I think it's 250 thread count, or whatever that is, 250 thickness. I don't know. Zip turtleneck and long johns, and then over top of that I've got my I've got my Big Bill wool overalls that Brian got me last year. These are actually amazing. I was like, I don't know about these, but when you're out working in the snow sticks to them. And even if they get wet, they're still super warm. But when I'm done playing in the snow and they're covered in snow, I bring them inside, the snow melts right off and they dry so quickly. So I absolutely love these for the winter time. And then as a second layer today, I have my Stanfield's wool, like work shirt, crew neck. I absolutely love this as well. So it's so warm. It's unbelievable how warm wool is. I know a lot of people can't wear wool, which is super unfortunate. But for me and Brian both, we love wool. I also am wearing, so protecting your head, keeping the heat in is really important as well. We all know that if you live in a cold climate. And my neck and my head, like this area here, if that's warm, and my fingers, I'm happy, and toes, the extremities. So today I'm wearing a hat that my mom knit. My toques have to be thick over the ears because if my ears get wind in them, I get earaches. So thick over the ears and tight fitting is what I prefer. So today I always wear some kind of wool hat, and also I prefer if it's lined. I usually also wear a Smartwool neck warmer or a wool neck warmer, like a little cowl that can kind of keep my neck warm. Of course, for my hands, I don't know where my mittens went right now. Oh, here they are. I have a pair of these were actually my dad's, but these are wool 3-fingered mitts, also called trigger mitts. If you work a lot outside in the cold with your hands, mittens don't work, and gloves, they don't keep my hands very warm. So these are perfect. I actually learned how to knit these. There's a really cool knitting book. I'll cover that in my knitting video. But I do not go anywhere without a pair of trigger mitts now. They also make leather work gloves that are 3-fingered, so these fit nicely inside of those. So if you want that extra layer of protection. And then an outer layer when it gets really cold, so anything more than -10. I have an Outdoor Research down coat. I also love down. I have an Eddie Bauer down, like thinner shell jacket. And then it's always nice to have an outer shell, so let me go get that one. So having some kind of a windbreaker is also really important, but that can also double as a rain jacket. Whenever I buy stuff, I like to think about where all the different situations I can wear them. So this year, this is a new to me purchase. I bought this Arbortech rain jacket. It's actually for tree work, but it is an amazing raincoat, has a wickedly large hood with a tight fastener, a kind of moldable peak. It has the finger inserts in the cuffs. And so it fits over all of these clothes and gives me a layer of water protection, wind protection, and works for insulation. So you should always have a good work raincoat. I tend not to own anything really nice because I usually end up wrecking it or getting it dirty or getting fire burn holes in it because we have a lot of fires. So things to consider when you're buying outdoor workwear. And then, of course, we need to talk about footwear. So my go-to for summer, I showed you, were my Crocs. I also have a really good pair of hiking boots that I prefer. The brand I prefer is Keen. So these are winter hikers, and I actually wear them through the summer too. These are men's because I have really wide feet. So always, and I'm only naming these brands because they're what I have. You should try on what fits your body style and what the activities that you're going to be doing. But in the winter time especially, I love to snowshoe, so I needed something a little bit more a little bit smaller than the next pair of shoes I'm going to show you. But I absolutely love Keens. So these are the ones I have. I don't even know what kind they are, but they're really great. So there's my Keens. The other pair of boots that I'm actually wearing are my they're Muck Hunter boots. They're insulated, and they're come just below my knee. And I typically wear these when I'm hunting to sit in the stand. They keep me nice and warm for a long period of time, but they're completely waterproof and insulated. So they're kind of multi-use. I slip them on to go do farm chores and things like that. Really great investment. I've had Muck boots for 10 years now. 10? Yep. These are my second pair, and I just bought them this year. So my first pair lasted me 9 years and just started to get a leak in them this past year. So super awesome boots. I cannot say enough about the Muck Boot company. They're amazing. And with all this stuff, if you can wait till things go on sale, that's ideal, because not a lot of it is it's pretty costly, but worth the investment if you like to work outside. Other pieces of clothing that I need all of the time. First, when it's not freezing cold, my Carhartts. I absolutely love Carhartts. Again, I wear these all of the time. If I could, I'd wear Carhartts every day. Can't wear these to work very often, but when I can, I do. So those are just a set of regular bibs. And actually, I think I bought these before women's came out. So my next pair, I might buy a pair, you know, made just for women. The other piece of clothing, because we work with chainsaws and safety is critical when you work with saws, and because we own our own tree company and we work with trees, is a pair of saw pants or saw chaps, whatever, something to protect your legs. So I just invested in a pair of Clogger chainsaw pants. Again, I don't know what brand these are. My friend's gonna, okay, what are these called? Okay, I think they're called Clogger Ascend. And they have saw protection front and back of the leg. They're super comfortable, stretchy. I love them. I am not a skinny mini. Full disclosure, I'm, you know, I think 5'7", 155 pounds, and I have, I'm well built, let's put it that way. So I need something that's comfortable, that fits me well, and these fit the bill. They are not cheap, but a really great investment. I always say, you know, you can't put a price on your body parts, especially when you use them to enjoy life or to, you know, do everything that we do. You have to protect your assets. And so I believe these are around $450 or $500, but I will have them for a very long time. So I always consider it a very essential investment. So there's my saw pants. I will say though that you can get much cheaper pairs of saw pants, usually around $100 Canadian, to do the same job. So you do what you can afford, but protection is key. And I'll just take this moment to remind everyone that whenever you're using a lot of this equipment, personal protective equipment or PPE is critical. I didn't bring my hard hat, my safety glasses and all that stuff, but it is really important whenever you're dealing with big pieces of equipment that can cause a lot of injury. And then the last piece of equipment that I don't wear often, but when I need them, I love them, are a pair of gaiters. So these are Mountain Equipment Co-op Gore-Tex gaiters. I've had these maybe 15 years, and they're like brand new. I have one rip in them, but love them. So when the snow is really deep and I don't want to wear like ski pants or anything like that, I just put on leggings and my gaiters and away I go. So helps keep water out, helps keep you dry. Amazing pieces of equipment. Okay, I think that's all for clothing. So I don't know kind of what the natural transition is, so I'm just gonna maybe start left to right. The other pair of, or the other tool or outdoor equipment that I can't live without are snowshoes. I mentioned before, in the winter, if there is enough snow, I snowshoe every single day. I walk the dogs in the forest in the morning, and if I'm going into cut and I need to get in anywhere deep, I need my snowshoes. I'm not very good at navigating through snow without them. So the brand that I've always had, I haven't tried other brands, so this is not a comparison, but that I love, are Tubbs. So my original pair, I wore so much I broke, and they lasted maybe about five or 6 years. The second pair of Tubbs I didn't like, but Tubbs recognized that that design wasn't great. So they actually have come up with a new design for tightening, where it's this little button that clips down, and then these cables tighten the whole shoe or the piece that goes around your foot in one section. This technology is amazing. I was skeptical about these little skinny, it's like a little bit wider than dental floss cables, but they are amazing. Fits snug to my foot. It's got really good, these grippers or traction on the bottom. I'm not a salesperson, but I can tell you that the Tubbs Flex RDG, I don't even know if that's what they're called. These are amazing snowshoes, not for big pow like what we just got. They work, you have to work a little, they don't float a lot, but I can handle it. I'm still young enough to power through. Good thing. So anyways, I absolutely love my snowshoes. Cannot say enough about them either. So let's talk about gardening quickly and some of my favorite tools. And I'm not going to talk about every single round nose shovel and hard rake and all that kind of stuff. And there's going to be some honorable mentions in here. But the tools that I use most often in gardening, like I said, aside from trowels and stuff, are my cutting tools. And so to start, I will put the first pair of, or piece of equipment I ever got, and I still have the original pair. These are my Felco 2 secateurs. I did a video about sharpening these. I'll link it in the description box below. And also get the scabbard that clips on or attaches to your belt. It just protects them, and I just find helps to keep them clean and sharp and all that good stuff. So Felco 2s, there's a bunch of different types of Felcos, and you don't even have to buy Felcos. You can buy another set of secateurs that are maybe not so costly, but something good that is nice and sharp that you maintain is critical. This year, no, 2 years ago, I bought these Felco garden snips, and these are also fantastic for harvesting in the garden. They're not as heavy duty as the Felco 2s, but they serve a different purpose, so also really great. And then my larger pruners, and these are backhoe professional loppers or pruners for larger cuts. So, you know, anything from 1 to 2 inch, I can take a good 2-inch cut if I have to. But again, it all depends on how sharp and well maintained you keep them. So I really like my backhoes. And again, brand doesn't matter. This is just what I have. So you get kind of what you can afford and what works for you. Then any kind of handsaw. So this is I don't know, it's the only one I could find. We have about 6 of them. Comio, I don't know, whatever it says. But it is a pruning saw, super sharp, very dangerous. I actually should be wearing leather gloves, so we'll pop it back in the scabbard. But some kind of handsaw, they allow you to cut woody material basically as big as you want to try and cut. But anything larger than a 2-inch cut, I like to have a pruning saw like this, or a handsaw. So a really great piece of equipment. And then any kind of chainsaw. So this is definitely not a commercial for which chainsaw you want to use. So I have an MS261. It was a saw that we brought with us from our tree service a number of years ago. I would like to invest in an electric saw here at some point. We use both Stihl and Husqvarna. We don't have any Echo products, but not saying I wouldn't use it. We just haven't had to purchase anything. So any kind of chainsaw, something that a size that you can manage. And on that note, I will say, if you are a first-time chainsaw user, you should have some training. Although you can purchase chainsaws at your local hardware store and Canadian Tire and all that kind of thing, they are very dangerous pieces of equipment. So make sure you have your proper PPE, including eyewear, hearing protection, leather gloves, chainsaw pants or chaps, steel toe boots. I don't have my steel toe boots here, but again, I have a pair of rubber steel toes and a pair of leather steel toes because we do work in that industry where you need protection, but you should always have all of that safety gear when you're using a chainsaw. If you burn with firewood, just to start, it's great to have a chainsaw. If you have a woodlot, even more important, because just like we just had to do, we had a big windstorm and we had a lot of trees come down over our trails. It allows you to cut trees off your trails, cut firewood, and then for us, basically anything that has to do with wood. So to go with that, also your sharpening tools, your saw fuel, your saw mix, your bar oil, there's all those things that you need, but that's kind of a video in and of itself. But it's a tool that I could not live without, and I'm so happy that I learned how to use a chainsaw And that's one thing I will say, you know, all of this equipment is gender neutral, contrary to what some people might believe. And so I think it's important just to list things that might not be on your radar, but that could be, and make you, you know, a little bit more independent. And I don't know, just to give you a little bit more, like, I don't know, what is it? Make you feel empowered. That's the word I'm looking for. Okay, so the last piece of kind of wood related or cutting equipment is my axe. So this is a little camping axe that Brian got me probably, oh yeah, again, like 18 or 20 years ago. And I love it. It is good to have a sharp, well-made axe for things like splitting, kindling. I could chop, if I had to, I could chop a small tree down with this, I think. Don't really want to. I would want my chainsaw. But, you know, it's a really great handy tool. You could split wood with it. Definitely, this is my kindling splitting axe, but super handy. I absolutely love it. Okay, so let's move on to other tools that are not kind of, that are powered, but building related. So a couple of things, if you're thinking about wanting to build things, one of the things that I find really handy and that you can work without, but I don't want to, is a tool belt. So I just have a tiny little 2-pocket, oof, the snow's coming off the roof, I gotta be quick. A tiny little 2-pocket tool belt, which is perfect for me. It's not too big, it doesn't sag on my hips. I'm used to wearing a climbing saddle, so it doesn't bother me too much. And actually I'd like to upgrade to a bigger one, but I need a project to be able to justify it. This is good for the Sugar Shack, but I really like it. And it holds my measuring tape, my pencils, and a pocket full of screws or nails or whatever, and my hammer, just my little hammer area there. So tool belt is awesome. A chop saw of some description. We have an impact drill or a drill. If these come on sale all the time at like Canadian Tire and things like that, pick yourself up a set of drills. Rechargeable battery, so awesome, so great for building anything. And then we also this year, I don't know what took us so long, bought a battery powered circular saw, which is really nice to, you know, we used it all the time on the sugar shed. We also, and this is not an ad for DeWalt, it's just what we've bought. We also have a DeWalt compound miter saw, I think that's what it's called, in the wood shop for bigger cuts and more precise cuts. But this little gem has been awesome. And then anytime you're working with power tools that are noisy, you should have a pair of earmuffs. So I am just highlighting these because I do a lot of the grass mowing around here that I don't do it often, but when I have to run a lawnmower or when I'm using the power tools, earmuffs or earplugs are really important. And so these muffs are actually, they are regular muffs, but they're also music muffs. And I think they even have Bluetooth ones of these now. Like, we don't have that. These were our original pair. They are older than the Hills. And these are steel actually, but they're Pelter muffs that have music built in. So if you're working on a project that's not too loud and you want to have some music playing, you can. So again, it's my favorite tool, especially for line trimming or lawn mowing or anything that's loud where you want to kind of rock and roll while you're working. Not good if you're working with others and you require communication, but great if you're working kind of by yourself. Okay, so that's the tools. I think I've covered all of them. And the last kind of area that I want to talk about is one that is near and dear to my heart, is hunting. And I know hunting is not for everyone, that is for sure. And so if you don't want to hear anything about hunting, stop watching now. But if you do, this is something that I did not start until I was later on in life. So mid-30s, I would say, probably around mid-30s. I started hunting with a bow. I don't gun hunt very often at all, except for maybe waterfowl, and even that, we hunt geese like once a year and that's it. But I do love deer hunting. And so it was something that I just didn't realize even that I could do until I actually started watching a hunting show and saw all these women hunting. And I thought it was like, because Brian always hunted. He grew up in a family that hunted, so it was kind of normal for him. But not for me. I didn't grow up in a family that hunted. And even when Brian and I met, it wasn't something that I realized that I could do. I know it sounds strange, but I bought my first bow in my early to mid 30s, and I learned to use a compound bow. And so I just wanted to talk about what I use. I'm not going to talk about all the gear because honestly, I don't really buy into all the fancy stuff. Maybe I'm just not that serious a hunter. I don't know. It is a lot of money to buy all the fancy gear, and I seem to be doing okay without it. And so if it is the difference between, you know, a couple of $1,000s and looking good, I just right now I can't, yeah, I just can't fathom spending the money on it when I don't really need it, if that makes sense. But what you do need is something to harvest an animal with and something to process the animal with. So there's lots of different ways that you can go about doing those two things. If you are a gun hunter, fantastic. I've got no advice for you in that department. I do have a muzzle loader that I bought a number of years ago. What even is it now? I can't even remember the name of it. Thompson Center muzzle loader. Yeah, it's a beautiful gun. I just don't really like gun hunting. So maybe that'll change, but I've never shot anything with it. I've only fired it to sight it in, and that's it. I hunt all through gun season, usually with my bow. So let's talk about the bow that I shoot. So I've always shot the same make of bow. I've always shot a Bowtech. Your selection as a female hunter is much more limited, which is fine because really, if you practice enough with whatever bow you have, you can become proficient. And my first bow, I upgraded a number of years ago now, probably 2016. I think I upgraded 2016 or 2017. And so now I shoot a Bowtech Carbon Rose. I shoot it at the max draw weight, which I think is 50 pounds. But it's not necessary that you shoot at 50 pounds. My release is so old, I don't even know if it has, oh, it does. What does this say? It's a Cobra kind of index finger release. I don't even know what it's called, but it's my original release from so long ago. Still works great, so I'm not upgrading. But one thing I will say is that I have learned through a number of poor shots is that you have to practice a lot for all situations. And so that's what I've done in the last number of years. I practice a lot. If you are going to shoot a bow, a compound, or a recurve, those of us who do know that the smallest little change or situation can make the difference between a good shot and a bad shot. And I have had bad shots. I'm not afraid to admit it. I think if you hunt long enough, you will have that misfortune, but practice really does pay off. And so I like to hunt with this bow because I'm used to it. It is like, I'm so used to it that between seasons, I don't shoot a lot during the winter, but when spring comes, we have a spring bear hunt here. It is much easier to get back into shooting. But when I am shooting, I try to shoot every day. So normally what I do is if I'm hunting in the morning, it's dark as I'm going to the stand, but I'll shoot when I get back. When I walk back in, I'll just take a couple of minutes with the target and shoot. And then if I'm hunting an evening hunt, I'll shoot before I walk out to the stand. And then that way I get my practice in. And if I'm not hunting, so leading into a season, once the weather gets nice, I'll start to hunt or I'll start to practice. And then because I hunt from a tree stand, practicing from that elevation or from a stand height is also helpful so that you can practice your shot placement. Anyways, that's a lot about archery, maybe a segment of its own, but this piece of equipment I hold near and dear because you know, it's how we harvest a lot of our meat. Most of the red meat that we eat is either deer or bear that either I shot or that Brian shot. Okay, and then the last piece of equipment, or one of the last pieces of equipment that I'll talk about, is what we use to process. And again, this is a whole video in and of itself as well. But once you harvest your animal, you have to process it. And so you can take it somewhere and pay, which is what we used to do all of the time and loved it. Just because we didn't have the skills at the time, and usually the time at the time. So we took it somewhere to be butchered and then packaged and brought it home. But in the last couple of years, we learned, or we just make it up kind of as we go, how to process our deer. And to do that, even just to skin it and to field dress it, you need equipment. And so we purchased about, maybe 10 years ago now, the Cutting Edge Game Processor Kit. Hopefully, let's see if everything's kind of still intact. And so I put my own little cutting board in there, but it has a number of different tools. So it has a caping knife, a skinning knife, a boning knife, a butchering knife, a pair of shears, so scissors that are strong enough to cut bone. I use these a lot when I process my rabbits. A handsaw, kind of like the one I showed you before, like a carving knife. And this is a tool that's used to hold the rib cage or the cavity open to help the animal cool and to help you clean it. Oh, and a sharpener. And so, there's probably other toolkits out there that are just as great, but this one works great for us, has served us well, and so we will continue to use it. Honorable mention today, actually, as I'm talking about processing animals, and it's not technically outdoor equipment, but I kind of forgot to cover it in my kitchen tools. It kind of stands somewhere in between, is our grinder. So our meat grinder. Once we brought our kind of meat harvesting in-house, we needed something to grind meat because that's how I really like to keep it. And so we bought an LEM Big Bite, and I love it. I absolutely love it. It powers through anything we can throw its way. And we also bought a sausage stuffer. I can't remember the, I think it's called Outdoor Valley or Valley Sportsman sausage stuffer. We also bought Valley Sportsman totes, and both of those things we got at Princess Auto. The LEM grinder, I think we got at Cabela's. Bri? Where did we get the grinder from? Oh shoot, well, we got it in COVID and we got it from JB Sausage out from Saskatchewan. So, but you can get them anywhere now that COVID is kind of behind us. So anyways, we got the LEM Big Bite grinder and the sausage stuffer, which are so awesome. We don't use them a lot, but when we do, they're primo. So start to finish hunting, from the Bowtech to the sausage stuffer. And it's not really outdoor equipment, but honorable mention here, and you'll see it in some of our sausage and meat processing videos anyways. So I think that's all. Like, I really thought about all of the tools that I use often and that are really important to me, and I've covered them here. I'm sure there's more, but if you're thinking about, starting something new or wanting to move to the country, or even if you live in the city, or anywhere in between, and you're thinking about what you can get to start some of these activities or things, like if you want to build something, then some of these tools are important. If you kind of want to start doing your own firewood or living more of an outdoors life, these are tools and of course your gear. And we did not get this stuff overnight. It took us years. Brian and I have been together, oh shoot, now I don't know, we've been married for almost, 22 years. We've been married for 22 years, but together a while before that. And so just little by little, as we had extra money, we would buy the things, we'd make a list of things that we wanted. And when we saved up enough money, we would buy those things. And so you have to think about, where you put your money. I consider all of these things an important investment in my happiness, definitely in our livelihood. So anything that heats my home, builds things for us, puts food on our table, to me is a critical tool. That's how I look at it in an investment. And we've upgraded over the years. So if we bought something that was lower cost, because that's all we could afford at the time, then that's what we bought, and we upgraded when we could. So do not let cost stop you, especially now with things like Marketplace and Salvation Army, and even, you know, friends that are getting out of something or have something old. If you see it laying around, ask people, do you have any old axes that you want to get rid of? Or things like that. And oftentimes people have equipment that they don't necessarily need anymore. There are a couple of other things that I do want to talk about. Big equipment, make a separate, and that might be something for Brian to do, because that's his department for sure. But also my hobbies, tools that aren't, I guess, critical, but that bring me a lot of joy. So anyways, I hope this helps you kind of make a list of things that you may want to think about purchasing or getting your hands on to help you enjoy life, or be a little bit more self-sufficient, or whatever it is, bring joy to your life. I hope this helps you. Hope you all have a really great day. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.